That's the frustrating part when you have these multiverse storytelling, especially in Star Wars. I feel like it's difficult because it was something that was considered not existent. Okay, so we're throwing that all out, and then we're bringing it back and existing within the same canonical timeline is just very confusing.
Yeah, I get confused a lot, and I'll conflate things that were legends and can't. And but I don't. At the end of the day, I like the more lore, the options. Also, the word legends lends itself to the fact that they're myths, which it's a big galaxy, and even watching the last few shows, we're realizing just how big it is.
Yeah.
And if you, I read a thing the other day that Giancarlo Esposito, when in the final scene of the last season of Mandalorian, when Luke is coming, think about his point of view. He's never met Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is considered a legend and a myth at this point. The
Sure.
guy who took down both Death Stars, like he's supposed to be like some sort of resistance rallying point or rebel rallying point that maybe isn't true. Kind of
Yeah.
like the way the legend of Ragnar Lothbrok in Viking legend
Yeah, he's
is.
kind of like a
People
ghost.
say, but people say it could be multiple people, but under the
Right.
same name. So Luke, that's kind of the assumption. And then all of a sudden, the guy that took down the two Death Stars that went into the room and Palpatine didn't walk out and he walked out with Vader's body,
Yeah.
is now cutting down all of your elite droid troopers that you were,
Yeah,
as
you'd
he
be
comes
scared
out.
shitless.
And that's why the acting is so good because the horror on his face
Sure.
while it's happening is is
Yeah.
is, is priceless.
I like that though. The idea of these stories being considered stories, like
Mhm.
they are these like the game of telephone. Like
Yep.
one person saw it, who then told someone else, who then passed it down, and of course things get jumbled up and everything. I like that. I like looking at it as just like a story from an eyewitness. That's cool. It's a
Yeah,
good
and
idea. I like that.
it's similar to like I told you a few months back, the 300 comic. That's a true story
Yeah.
of the 300 Spartans. That is a real and true story. I hope you would know that, not you, but whoever's listening. And the thing that makes it awesome is the way Frank Miller wrote it and designed it is an old man sitting by a fire telling the story to a younger generation.
Yeah.
This is how it happened. I'm going to embellish the details. And things like the Immortals, they didn't look like that, but the Immortals were real. They marched at 10,000 strong. They were part of the Persian army. It's all true. But they weren't lizard faced like demon creatures. But that's how the story would be told to you. So I look at
Yeah.
Legends in a similar way that if Disney hasn't explicitly made content for that part, and a lot of lore folks are doing the same exact thing, I'm noticing. Old Republic content is being considered canon until Disney says otherwise, rather
Sure.
than previously when we were like, you know, um, that none of it's canon. I would rather do it that way
Yeah.
and wait for them to retcon it than do it the way that we were doing it previously. So right now, a lot of the lore folks are just telling stories based on legends and attributing it to things happening in canon and whatnot. Like Darth Bane, we know
Yeah.
Darth Bane exists. We don't know
Right.
his story in the Disney universe, but we have his trilogy book,
Right. That
which is
story is
considered
already
legends.
there.
Right. So, and Disney seems to be going the wayside of like, hey, our version of the storytelling might not have been the best. So we're going to start borrowing more from legends because that's what the fans want. And when you look at, and this came out this week, it's in the book that I'm reading, the Shadows of the Sith book.
Hmm.
Luke's Jedi Temple, we now know the planet it's on. Guess what? The planet's from Legends. Guess what? The planet was one of the fonts or one of the original starting place of the Jedi in the galaxy. It's the planet Ossus.
Yeah.
Ossus is in the Old Republic game. You go to Ossus. It's one of the expansions. So they're doing it,
That's cool.
and they're doing it to like. So that's why I think a lot of these lore folks are just saying like, well, Disney's probably going to make a lot of this canon at this point,
Yeah.
and tweak things along the way. And I think that's the exciting thing is that a lot of there's nothing wrong with reading the comics and the books from the Legends stories because a lot of it might end up coming true. I'm joking with you, but also being serious. All the fan art with Mace, like I don't know if you've seen it. A lot of people have been doing fan art all of a sudden, and it's all like Mace on the bottom floor of Coruscant,
God
soaked
damn
in
it.
rain. His hands cut off. He's got like scars all over him. His eyes are red because he toys with the dark side. So I have a feeling, whether you like it or not, Tim, Mace is it will come back in the comics or something like that, not on screen.
Well, doesn't he save himself in the book?
And there's a book where he saves himself.
In his book, doesn't he save himself? Doesn't he like land through a building?
He uses the force.
And he
to
like
break
force
his
pushes
fall.
himself through something. Yeah, someone told me in chat, and I was like, "What? There's no way. Like that guy's dead." But I mean, you know, that's Samuel L. Jackson. He'll find a way.
No, he lands and he's like, that motherfucking emperor. I'm gonna beat his ass.
Too many Sith on this planet.